in Anaheim. And that was a great learning experience because we continued to grow our business and we opened other stores and learned how to work with people. And it was a great business. One of the things that it taught me was because one of the stores that I opened, I had an opportunity to buy the piece of real estate that the store was going to go into. So we bought that location, and while I've been out of that business now 30 years, but I still own the real estate, and that property has probably paid for itself 4 or 5 times over, and I still get the rent from it. And so I learned that if I'm going into a new venture, if I have the opportunity to buy the real estate, I'll typically do that, and I've done that in pretty much every business. And a lot of times I end up making more money from the real estate than I do from the business, especially here in Southern California. So if it's open, it sells for less. And so we had a lot of that sort of stuff because we'd been in business 2-3 years and we needed to get rid of it all. So we brought in this auctioneer and we ran the ads, and we ultimately did more business in that weekend of 4 auctions, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. We did more business in those 4 auctions than I would typically do in a whole month. And I said, wow, this is a really powerful method to sell in a seminar method where you're selling to a lot of people at one time rather than in a typical sales method where it might be one-on-one. So that became very powerful. I ended up going to auction school, learning how to be an auctioneer, was lucky enough to have a few mentors that helped me get my first job, because in business or in most anything, the hardest part is actually getting that foothold where you start getting successful, and making that first $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 is much harder to do than making money nowadays for me, because I have the capital, and it's money. The capital makes more money, but when you're first starting out, it's much more difficult. So I was lucky enough that I had great mentors that helped me get going. Some of my mentors are still alive today. They're my dear friends, and I call them. And I don't look to my accountants for business advice, and I don't look to attorneys for business advice. I look to my mentors, and
The number one person I call whenever I have a new idea is my dad. And I just ask him, I gauge his reaction, because he's not afraid to tell me, Alex, I don't know about that. When I first came up with Polish Pal, which is my nail polish holder, he loved it.
I think when the kids were in the car and we would be going places, we always would talk about deals just because it was fun to me, and I wanted them to be able to have a career that was as exciting and as fun as I've had. I really believe you got to do what you love, and you got to have passion, and that's why I've really never tried to push Alex or Ryan in any one direction, because I think, listen, life is short. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
When I was younger, I would sit in the back seat. My dad would practice doing auctioneering with me. So he'd make me sit there and go, okay, I need you to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And he'd make me do it faster and faster and faster until I got it down. And I look back on that now, and those are some of my favorite memories about what kind of gave me a good well-roundedness in the world of business.
And so one day I was looking in the newspaper, and I saw a guy doing a land auction. And I went to his auction, and because my grandmother had been in this business, I knew exactly where she had bought the land, so I know where he bought the land. I knew how to promote the auction because I had promoted my own auctions in the stereo business, and I was an auctioneer. So I knew how to do. I walked in the door and I said, "Wow, this is," and the room was packed. It was during a big real estate boom. And so I did my own auction, my own real estate auction. It took a year to put that auction together, buying the land. And typically in that business, we were buying for cash at low prices and then selling on credit. And so we were able to sell it at a higher price because we were making it very easy, and we were very good at advertising and getting a lot of people to come in. In about 2008, we had a very big client, Bank of America actually came to us and said, we'd really like to try online auctions. And so we went and we did basically the same thing. We studied the business. We took all our knowledge of being offline auctioneers, and when I say offline, we're talking old school, 25, 50 now, got to be 75, 100 in the back now, 125. that type of auctioneer, and we took the game dynamics of a live auction and boiled that down and made that into a online auction platform. You know, the key is we were charging, and I don't think we had the greatest balance, but we did have focus. We did have focus on being successful, and I think if you want to be successful, you have to be really focused, and you have to be willing to go for it, and you have to be intense about what you want to do, and don't make excuses. Be the first one up in the morning, and be willing to stay the latest and do whatever it takes. Again, find those mentors.